Fact- Factory life. Factories were often very dangerous for the workers because they were not lit properly. It was dusty, polluted. It was dangerous with heavy machinery. Was never really truly and cleaned. And these debris that would come off the machines were coming off these materials that were very dangerous. This included iron, rust from coal, and other metals, which was not healthy to be breathing in. Also, as you can see in the picture, there's a lot of people here. This is a common factory. There is a lot of people. There's no elbow room. So basically, if someone got, I don't know, the Black Plague or something, and they were coughing right next to you, surely you'd be the next person coughing the next day. Disease could travel fairly quickly through these crowds of people, especially with the amount of the limited amount of food, the not very good shelter, not a lot of money, not just to mention that the workplace as a whole was very unsanitary. Many people worked in these factories because this is the new trend at this time. And sometimes women weren't really in the big factories because men would be the ones to have to deal with the heavy lifting with their strength and with all these heavy materials and products. While women mainly worked in textiles, and as you can see, this is most likely a textile because there's sewing machines all around, and these are women. Women also were employed in these textiles industries because they had more experience with spinning jennies and all these cotton gins because they were used to making clothes. Because being a woman and being a wife to a married man, they would often have to make clothes, fix and sew anything that was tattered or broken or things like that. So they had a lot of experience in these textiles, so they can make the clothes easier and be more productive to do it rather than a man did it. Children were often also seen at factories because at this time it was hard to earn money for a good pay, and sometimes children would just be left behind, or if they even did have a family, they'd often be seen with their mothers, on their mother's back while the mother's working, or the child would go around itself collecting up leftover materials from machines that have fallen on the ground. This is very dangerous because these machines were heavy and bulky, and if something fell off, they could get hurt if they're just running around these huge machines, and they were also very sharp, so it was survival of the fittest who could get the most to little to no pay. So it was very rough to be able to get money at this time, which reflected on the conditions on the factories. The Luddites were people that had jobs in factories, and they were automated because machines were more industrialized and could produce more goods. These machines included stocking frames, spinning frames, power looms, spinning jennies, and other machines like that. The Luddites would smash these machines because they took their jobs and took their money, and jobs at this time period were very important. As you can see in this picture, this person is dressed in tattered clothes and they are not very fashionable, so this person is in one of the lower classes. These men included craftsmen and artisans because those were the people that weren't very famous. Usually before and other times, in the Renaissance and other times, artisans and craftsmen were very important to create art and things that were needed, but art was not very important at this time period because of realism and other ideas. So craftsmen and artisans worked in factories, and since this was their only job, they were very upset that these machines just took their job. The government clashed many times with the Luddites. It was recorded that they clashed even more than they would with Napoleon and France at this time period. Finally, they had a group of Luddites, and they trialed them in York, England, and most of them were found guilty, and they were either executed or had a penal transportation. Poorhouses. Poorhouses were a government-run facility, and they helped people that did not have jobs because they were known as a house and also where people worked. So when people worked, they also slept in that same room. They were meant to be in a brutal condition so people could keep moving along to find jobs so that they would not get overcrowded with things, because there's so many people needy at this time of a place to stay that this place was always crowded. And as you can see in this picture, this is the staff, and if there's so many people, these little amount of people working there, it is really hard to keep this place running with so many people living in it. It has been proven that this was very unhealthy for children to grow into, so this is another reason why it is not a good place for people to stay, and another reason for people to move along to other places. Charles Dickens was a very famous author at this time period. He wrote a lot about people in the Depression environment. This includes the books Oliver Twist and A Christmas Carol. As we all famously know, The Christmas Carol has Mr. Scrooge, who is a tax collector and is very rich because he has to collect a lot of taxes from the people. He is also seen as very senile and old. This is representative of the rich management partners that would own these factories, and they wouldn't treat their workers properly, just like he does not treat his assistant properly, because he is underfed, he is overworked, and underpaid. So the assistant would represent the people in the workforce in these factories. And here's Scrooge. You can tell Scrooge is there. In Oliver Twist, it is different because of this boy here, Oliver, is seen pickpocketing a man. And this, you can tell this man here is not a poor person. But the person he is taught by is a poor old man, and he is probably not of a job and is very street reliant for things that they need. The story behind Oliver Twist is there's this young boy, and he needs a job and a place to get money and food to sleep under. And a place to sleep under, And this old man, just like in August Rush, the character Robin Williams plays, helps this man find a talent of pickpocketing people and getting money so that he can live on his own. The Chartists were people of the Charter. This is basically a book that has, or it's known as a radical manifesto that encourages their wants of votes for all men, equal electoral districts, abolition of requirement that members of parliament are property owners, payment for MPS, annual general election, secret ballot. In this picture, they're seen here marching in this very high secure place. This is the prison where they have their head radical leaders they're staying at, so they're freeing their leaders. Many men were killed at this time. As you can also see, there is some government high order building here, and these people are protesting for their rights, or what they believe are their rights. And most of these men were middle-aged men because they did not want the property owners to get all of the control and make all the decisions, because not everyone in the cities were just property owners. Economic policies. These policies include basically mercantile and economic policies. And at this time, many people were at work because this is the only way they could earn money. These huge factories. Men would be in heavy industries, heavy lifting machines, and different resources and their products, while women were more in the textiles due to their experience with the spinning jenny and the sewing and all of this. So in this picture, you can see, here is your machine some cotton gin or something like that. Here is the woman, and you can tell it's textile because she's wearing or she's carrying a towel or a sheet or something that is made out of the textiles. This man is in charge of it because most men were in charge of things. Women did not have many rights to be in charge of things. And as you can see here also, this place is worked by the children. As said in this factory life, many children worked in these factories because they needed money and a place to stay and food for their own, because there was kind of a dog-eat-dog world. These children were, if they were even just babies, they'd be carried on their mother's backs into the workplace. And until they're infants, they've been learned to pick up extra resources at the under machines and things. And this is very dangerous because they were very heavy machinery and could get hurt easily. At this time period, many people were working. And even though women were always working, they had earned the half wage of a man by doing the same work. Also, there are limits on what women could learn. Women were taught nursing, teaching, and social works to teach the children, but they were not taught any other fields so that they could not go into any other fields. This is another reason why women were not, this could be a resource for women fighting for women's right in a later time period, because women were doing the same exact work and getting paid half as much. And also, women did not have the same opportunities that the men did at getting a job.